One of my favorite ways to accessorize an outfit is with a handmade clutch bag. And today we are taking that like way up a notch because we're gonna add a bow to it. Bows are having a bit of a moment, a bowment, if you will. I am so here for this trend. I made a bow clutch a couple weeks ago and it was super cute. I carried it to an event and today I decided I wanted to make one, but a little bit more sassafrassy. So let me show you what you need to make this project. It's very beginner friendly and it's really fun to be able to take your clutch, your bow clutch, to an event and be like, oh, I made it. I'm a bit of a purse designer. Here's what you need. For the base of our clutch bag, we are using this leatherette fabric that I found on Amazon. And it was only $15.99 for a 16-inch by 54-inch piece of this fabric. And I just can't. It's so pretty. It's a nice weight for a bag. We're not gonna need to put much stabilizer on this, which is good because I don't know that it would even attach. You'd probably melt the whole thing. So we're not gonna stabilize it, but look at it shimmer. I just love it. It's like kind of 70s and 60s, but also like kind of 80s. I don't know. It's including all the best parts of all the decades that I missed out on. Well, I was here for the 80s, but I was little and not fashionable whatsoever. All right, so for the front, for the bow, we're keeping it simple because this is such fun fabric. So it's gonna be a lot smaller than this, but imagine we've got a bow here. And then I'm gonna use some zipper by the yard. You can buy this in my Amazon store. It's also linked in my description below. I like this kind. It has the fake metal looking zipper. This is not real metal. You can cut right through it and sew right over it, but it looks kind of real, right? Okay, and then I was searching for something to use for a zipper pull and I didn't want to use just plain silver. You're gonna laugh at me for this one. But I found this matte black Triceratops. I have no idea why I bought this, but he's so cute and he's going on our bag. It's your day in the sun, buddy. All right, let me show you how to cut these fabrics up. Because of the way this was rolled, it arrived with just a little bit of a wonky edge, and I'm gonna get rid of that because I don't wanna deal with it. So I'm just cutting off about 1 inch to start off with, so we have nice, even edges. This stuff cuts so easily. And when I think about what shape I want to do, you can truly do any shape, size, combination you want. You could make it nice and square. You could make it typically what a clutch would be, which would be sort of rectangular and a little bit narrow. I think I'm gonna do a cross between the two. I wanna make it rectangular for sure. And I think because this is 16 inches tall, if I cut that in half, that would actually be a nice size for a clutch. So I'm going to cut this. I'm gonna leave this 16 inches. We'll cut that in a second. And for the width of the bag, I'm trying to visualize it with my hands. We're gonna lose some to the seam allowance. Okay, so this would be 20 inches. That's obviously way too long. This would be 15, 14, 13, 12. I'm gonna do lucky 13. So my first cut is gonna be 13 inches by 16 inches, which I'm obviously not cutting the 16 inches. And then I'm gonna cut this in half, which will give us our two pieces. So because this is 16, I'm gonna go up 8 and then take a look at it. I think that's nice. Yeah, I feel good about this because we'll lose a little bit to the seam allowances, but it's still nice and long. And I think the appeal of a clutch bag is the strange rectangular shape of it. It's really kind of elegant and long, and that's pretty. So this is gonna be the front and back of my bag. My zipper, I'm going to cut for right now. I'm just gonna cut it the length of the bag. If you wanna save your zipper, if you wanna be a good steward of the zipper, what we're actually going to end up doing is cutting it about 1.25 inches shorter than the length of your bag, or width, this part of the bag. But what I'm saying is if you're brand new to zipper by the yard, go ahead and just leave it long because as you're trying to get that zipper pull on, sometimes this can fray a little bit and you need to trim it down. It never hurts to leave it a little bit longer than you need. So I'm gonna cut mine down about 1 inch and then I might trim it a little more when I put my zipper pull on. which we're not going to do right this second. So you'll have to wait a few minutes, Triceratops with only 2 horns. I guess the other one's supposed to be like imagined. You just know it's there behind the other one. Unless there's a 2-horn dinosaur that I'm not aware of. But my son was pretty into dinosaurs, and I feel like I'm very up to date on dinosaur types and genres. Now, let's talk about the lining and the bow. I'm going to use this lining fabric that I used for a different project. It was for a skirt I made a few weeks ago, and I have tons of it left over. This is what really makes the clutch sassy, right? It's got this beautiful, soft, silky lining, and I think that just makes it so elegant, so classy, just like me.
She's a pretty classy lady.
So I'm going to take this and fold it. Now, lining fabric is a little bit finicky. It has an attitude problem sometimes. You tell the fabric where to go. So I'm going to double it up, line up the edges as best I can, and then I'm just going to simply cut around the edges of what I've got here. So just hold it steady. It's okay if it's not exactly the same. We can get that trimmed down later. That's not something I want you to stress about. I think when we're starting sewing, we get so stressed out about trying to make everything perfect, and it doesn't have to be. There's wiggle room in sewing. Wiggle, wiggle, wiggle. So now we have 2 lining pieces. We may put a little interfacing on these to just add some structure to the bag. Haven't decided yet. For the bow, we're going to double up the fabric, and we're going to sew a really long tube that will turn into the bow. So what we need is at least the length of the bag for right now, and then we'll kind of figure it out from there. And actually, if you want to, you can lay this on here and sort of see how it's going to look, this lining piece that you've already cut. So see, when you scrunch it up, it gets a little shorter. We want to avoid that. So we're going to make this probably 4 inches longer than our lining piece. And maybe let's do, when you scrunch it up, you also lose some of this. Well, not much though. So let's do just an inch larger on this width. So what is this? This is 13 by I think 8. So I'm going to do 17 long by 9 tall. And I'm going to cut 2 of those pieces. And it does not have to be the right size immediately. We can trim it down. We just can't add to it. So if anything, go on a little bit higher of what your measurements are, and then you can take it away as you need to. So what did I say? 17, and this is 18. So I'm just gonna cut it 18. Why not? I don't have to cut this edge because we can actually leave this, and we'll just sew this and flip the tube out. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We wanted 9. Just a little bit higher. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Great. Go a little further because I've got some funky ripping happen right there. Cut our 9 inches this way. Okay. Get that out of here, and let's see what we've got. Nice long rectangle. I've got a little bit of a rip right there, so I'm going to just cut that part off. I made it extra long. Okay, I'm going to cut just right here. That way everything is nice and even. I'm going to fold these pretty sides touching. So my shiny sides are touching each other, and we're going to sew a seam right here. Yeah, it's time to sew. Can you believe it? Oh, wait, we need one more thing before I forget. On that shiny fabric, we need to cut some zipper tabs to create a zipper stop on the top of our bag. So, and those are tiny, so you can use just a scrap if you want. I'm going to cut this 3 inches by 3 inches to start out with. And now I'm going to trim that down to what I need it to be, which is 2 inches, and then we're going to cut in 1.5 inch. So you should have 2 pieces that are 1.5 inches by 2 inches. Just set those somewhere safe so you don't lose them because they're so tiny. All right, let's get to sewing. All this bow talk got me thinking, sounds like Botox. All this bow talk got me thinking about a class I just took on Procreate through Skillshare called Put a Bow on It, Draw Cute Trending Ribbons in Procreate by Carrie Cantwell, who is a very, very talented illustrator. Thank you so much to Skillshare for sponsoring today's video. Y'all, I love Skillshare. Skillshare is an online learning community designed for creatives just like you and me. It offers over 30,000 short-form pre-recorded video classes in areas like design, illustration, photography, and business. It totally emphasizes adult learning, which is a hands-on approach. Let's be honest, nobody wants to sit through a lecture anymore. We want to dig right in and get into the projects that we're being shown, and that's what Skillshare does. All of the instructors on Skillshare are extremely talented, successful, vetted professionals in their field. You are learning from somebody who absolutely can be trusted in that specific subject. For me specifically, I've been wanting to grow in my Procreate skills. I am having so much fun taking classes on Skillshare. I'm not kidding. I sit every night and do at least a 15-minute class to clear my head, to give me an opportunity to do something creative with my hands outside of my current skill set, and to help me grow and learn as a person. So when I originally decided to do this bag, I was like, I wonder if I could draw a bow. And all I had to type in the search bar was bows Procreate, and it brought up the perfect class. In this class, you learn how to draw cute, trendy bows and how to use them to instantly level up your illustrations. Carrie's approach is chilled out, calm, easy to follow, and it leaves you feeling successful right after you finish the project. In this class, Carrie talks about why it's important to have bows in your portfolio, the simple anatomy of the bow, and then she walks you through several different versions of how to draw a bow in different ways and different applications. My favorite was the swan with the bow. So cute! I love Skillshare because I can learn at my own pace. I can pause and come back to it if I need to, but every single class I take, I leave feeling successful and like I actually added something to my knowledge base, which is so helpful. I also have good news. Skillshare has offered the first 500 people to use the link in my description or to scan this QR code, a 1-month free trial of Skillshare. You should do it. You absolutely should do it. Just in a month, you will learn so much. I am a huge advocate of Skillshare. I really do support this company, and I hope that you'll give them a try. You have nothing to lose. You have an entire month to learn as much as you want from Skillshare for free, thanks to this wonderful code that they've offered us. So make sure you check that out. And now let's get back to our tutorial and make a bow on a bag. Okay, it's time to get to sewing. I'm gonna take my bow piece, and I am going to take the right sides and put them together. So in this case, it's the shiny sides that are touching and the matte side that's facing at me. If you want to pin or clip this, you certainly can. You don't have to. I am using a regular 80-12 universal needle. You could go down a little bit for the lining piece if you want, but you might want to go back up when you're sewing through that faux leatherette. So let's just do 80-12 and call it a day. Okay, I'm going to match those side seams up. I'm going to sew with 1/2 inch of seam allowance. You can do 1/4 inch if you want. My stitch length is 2.5 and I'm just using regular black polyester thread. Nothing crazy. There are snowflakes falling outside, just really big ones, like very sparse, but they're so pretty. I'm excited for spring, but I do love the last little dregs of winter. It's just so cozy. When you reach the end, put a back stitch in. And we can trim up this seam now, or you can leave it, whatever you want to do. I'm going to just eyeball it and get as close to the stitch line as I can. If you want to use your acrylic ruler, that's also fine. It's all about comfort. All right, reach in there and turn it right side out. Oh, I already love it. Now we can press this if you want to. We're going to be scrunching it back up here in just a second though. So it really isn't, see how like all those wrinkles just kind of disappear anyway. If it's a very lightweight synthetic type fabric, you may just want to skip the pressing part and that's fine. What I do want you to do is put this seam in the back. So your initial instinct might be to like put it on the bottom or the top. Don't do that. Put it in the back because we want it hidden. We don't want to see that.
I don't want to see that. I don't want to see that trick.
Oh, you know what? We forgot to cut one more piece of thing. I forgot the middle of our bow. So I'm going to pull this back out Just like we cut those zipper tabs, we're going to do the same thing. This time we can make it a little longer, maybe 5 inches by 3 inches. So very sorry about that. My brain is a little foggy today. I'm too busy looking at the snow. Okay. I'm pretty sure we're done cutting, but you never know. It's a She Sew Seams tutorial. They're unpredictable. We're all over the place. Fold that piece in half and sew that just like you did with the bigger piece. And if you want to do a smaller seam allowance, that's fine. This will be what's holding the bow in the middle. So you can make that as wide or as narrow as you like. I think I'm going to do a 1/4 inch on this one. Back under the sewing machine. Pretty sides are touching. Start with a back stitch and sew all the way down at 1/4 inch. Lovely. Turn that right side out. If you have a tube turner, that can help. This one's pretty wide, so I'm just going to do it by hand. Plus, I think my daughter stole my tube turner. Now that she's a sewist too, my sewing supplies are disappearing. All right, we've got that turned out nicely. Shiny side out. Put that seam in the back again, okay? We don't want to see it. It's unsightly. This bag comes together so fast. So lay your, whatever's going to be your front piece out and lay the bow kind of on top of it, centered. And we're going to take our fingers and just sort of gather it right in the middle, like so, till you get it to where you think it looks pretty. The more gathers you get, the more little like ribs you'll have coming out of the bow middle, and that's pretty. I like it. What I'm going to do is, since this is so thin, I'm going to sew right across this hump right in the middle. So I'm going to hold it together just right the way I have it. Doesn't have to be perfect. Bunch it all up and just sew a quick line of stitches. Maybe back stitch. This will hold it in place for us. Would you look at that? Oh, yes, I like that too. All right. Now take your centerpiece, and you don't have to hold it anymore because it's all sewn together, which is nice. Now you decide if this is too wide, if you think that middle piece is too wide, you could always fold this in half. Oh yeah, I like that a little better. So I folded my middle piece in half and it gave me a little bit less width. You do whatever you want. I'm going to wrap it around the front here and pull it down pretty tight. And right where that seam is, we're going to sew a straight line. Now I'm going to let you in on a little secret. This project will have a raw edge exposed. Won't be much of one because we're going to do our best to conceal it, but some things are just not worth trying to stress out over. You could do all kinds of folding techniques if you wanted to, but that's just going to make it a lot harder than what we're doing here. So what I'm going to do is go back and forth a couple times, and then here's the trick. Without lifting my presser foot, I'm going to switch to a zigzag stitch. It's fine just the way that it's preset on your machine. And I'm going to reverse. And then I'm going to go forward. And it's okay if your needle digs into some of that bow fabric. It's actually a good thing because it'll help hold that bow middle piece in place. So back stitch, and then if you have pinking shears, which I do somewhere, just trim it. And that's about as good as you can get without having any sort of seam finish, like a serger or trying to fold all those pieces over. It's not worth it. That's a lot of time that's going to take away from the momentum of my project. I'm going to trim down those pieces, any sort of flyaways that are hanging out. And here's our bow. Okay, got my clips out. I'm going to find the center, just 6.5 inches. So it's the bow middle is in the center. Go up 1/2 inch and clip in from this corner. And then I'm going to go down 1/2 inch from the top and clip right there. Repeat that on the other side. Okay, any sort of like ribbing or wrinkles in the bow when you sew this next stitch are going to stay there. So make sure you have them evened out as best you can. Okay, I think that looks pretty good. Here's the trick. We're not going to trim this with our scissors. We're just going to flip it and sew from this side. No need to make it harder than it already is, which is not very hard. All right, lay this under carefully. I'm gonna sew this at 1/4 of an inch. Put your stitch length up to a 5. We're gonna do a basting stitch here because it's a temporary stitch. Even out your bow gathers and then just start a sewing. And if you do the basting stitch, the 5mm length stitch, what's nice about that is if you sew this the first time and you look at it and you're like, that's just not quite right, you can easily take those stitches out. But yeah, I am gonna leave this just nice and taut across the top to see how that feels. Because I do like to slip my hand behind that bow to help me carry the clutch. And sometimes the bow ends up too loose and it's not really useful. It looks really good. I like it. Okay, so we're gonna even out our gathers on this side, make sure everything is laying flat. Lay the whole thing underneath. It's okay if it's like a bunchy mess, it's a bow. It's supposed to be kind of bunchy and weird. Not weird, but bunchy. Again, if you finish sewing this and it looks awful, rip it out and do it again. All right, let's see. This is like when I was 9 years old. This is like my Lisa Frank 80s Tiffany in the mall dream. I can't. Now it's okay to trim up those sides. I would use those pinking shears if you still have them out because it'll be a little less frayed for you. So just work from whichever side you want. Trim up some of that lining fabric without cutting into your bag. Repeat that on the other side. Okay, now we are going to attach our lining and our zipper. And I've been thinking about interfacing on these lining pieces. I think I'm gonna do it. I think it'll make it easier to sew the zipper on as well. So let's grab some lightweight, fusible interfacing, nothing crazy. Come on over to the ironing board, I'll show you. Okay, this is nice and lightweight, but it will add some structure to our silky lining. And I truly just lay this right down on top. You could even do the next piece up if you want. Or what if we do this? Yeah, that'll make the ironing kind of wonky. We'll just do this. Lay them right next to each other. Turn your iron down just a smidge to the synthetic setting and then gently press it. Now you're pressing the dot side to the back of your lining piece. So the dotty side is what's going to melt into that lining piece and make it stick. All right, good and stuck. Let me grab some scissors. We'll just cut this along the edge, trim it up. All right, I'm gonna just trim right through the middle here. We've got our two lining pieces. This will be easier to work with now. So it doesn't hurt to add that interfacing. It's not entirely necessary. You do you, boo. All right, grab that zipper and I'm gonna grab my Triceratops. He's so cute. And okay, let's open up the zipper end. Slide the pull on one side. Hold on to that and then slide the other pull in. They're not going to be even right away, but if you lay it down on your table and ooch it around a little bit, it will eventually slide right on. And if it's resisting you, it's because your teeth aren't lined up properly. So once you get them lined up properly, it zips right up. Okay, do that step. And then once you have it on nice and straight, then you can trim your zipper down a smidge more so that it's about 1.25 inches shorter than the top of your bag. I think that's pretty good. If you make bags and you're having trouble at the step where we turn the bag right side out in getting these tabs to flip out properly, it's because you're making the zipper too long. So shorten it up next time by just even 1/4 inch, and that should really help with flipping the bag right side out at the end. Grab your two tiny zipper tabs. We're gonna fold them in towards the middle with the right side facing out so those two little raw edges touch, and then fold it in on itself. Now, if you want to do interfacing on these pieces as well, because the lining is just too slippery, that's fine. I'm gonna finger press this, which means I'm just gonna press it really hard with my hand. Slide the zipper end in, and then we're gonna sew an 1/8 of an inch stitch, just like an 1/8 of an inch or even a 1/16 of an inch, as long as you're catching both sides in the tab, that's what matters. You can clip this in place if you want. Lay it under your presser foot, back stitch, and then front stitch. And back stitch at the end. That's what it should look like. Do that again on the other zipper tab. There's the other one. Now trim these sides because they look ghastly. We don't want fraying fabric all stuck in our stitches. Let's start with the hard piece with the bow. Why not? Figure out whichever side is the top. Doesn't really matter because they're kind of the same. And then lay your zipper face down. Center it, okay? So you should have a little bit of room on this side and a little on this side, and you're gonna clip it in place right along the top edge of your bag. Pull the zipper all the way to the right as far as you can go, and then you won't have to worry about it for a minute. One thing to double check is that you have pretty much equal space on either end of your zipper, which for me looks pretty good. I've got some space right here, about 3/4 of an inch and 3/4 of an inch. Take your lining piece and lay that pretty side down into that sandwich and just start clipping it into the mixture of what you got going on already, making sure that your raw edges are all lined up at the top, okay? And this is what we're gonna sew. If you wanna switch to your zipper foot, you can. If that stresses you out, don't. You won't be able to get quite as close to the zipper teeth, but that's okay. If you're learning, who cares? Center your needle so it goes right in the divot of your zipper foot. And I like to line my raw edge up with the right side of my zipper foot. And I feel like that gives me a pretty accurate zipper. It gets fairly close. If we were making like a garment, we would do a little bit more exact science, but this is not that serious. Just start sewing. Now, if you hear a very loud crunch, that means you've sewn over your zipper teeth. And unfortunately, it means you have to stop and you have to rip those stitches out. Just those couple, because you can't zip a zipper that has thread stuck in its teeth. So that is a little bit of a bummer, but just telling you so that you're aware, because you may not know that and you may hear the crunch and be like, ah, whatever, keep going. Don't do that. Just stop, take a breath. If you're frustrated, if you start getting overwhelmed, take a break. Go for a walk. Go get a drink of water, stand up, move your legs a little bit. It's okay. Your brain is still reverse engineering all of those things and churning through what you just did. When you come back, you'll feel so refreshed and your brain will be like, thank you. Now I can perform the way you want me to. All right, we're getting close to the triceratops. So what I'm gonna do is lift my presser foot and turn the work towards me. And that should help me reach in there and slide him out of the way. Now this is a large zipper pull, so it's gonna be, mine's gonna be a little trickier than probably yours if you're just using a regular, just metal zipper pull, but whatever. Once you get him out of the way, put the presser foot back down and straight on till morning. I'm already excited to see this. This is what you should have now. It's gonna be so cute. Fold this down and we're gonna roll it down so that it really is taut on this top part. The reason we're doing that is we're about to top stitch and we want to keep this lining as far away from these zipper teeth as possible, because if it starts getting stuck in the zipper teeth, game over. Again, you can't unzip and zip your zipper, and you get to the end of the project and you can't do that. It's so frustrating. I speak from experience on this one. So fold it down. Switch back to your regular zigzag foot. Mine is a zigzag foot, the J foot. I don't know, whatever the regular foot is for your machine. And we're going to sew our top stitch. approximately 1/8 of an inch away from the top rolled edge of that bag front. I'm going to up my stitch length to 3.5. You don't have to do that. A top stitch is technically meant to be just a smidge longer than your regular utility stitches. First of all, it goes a little faster. Secondly, it's pretty. It makes those elongated stitches look a little bit nicer. Now, every few inches, I'm going to stop and reach under here and pull that lining down so and make sure it's behaving. Move your triceratops out of the way. Things you never thought you'd say in a sewing tutorial. Move your triceratops out of the way. Now, have I said that in my house before? I have to say probably. I have probably told my son to move his triceratops out of the way, but not in bag making typically. This will make it real quirky, and I'm okay with that. I'm a quirky person. This is what it should look like. I love you, I love you, I love you. Mwah. Okay, see the happy triceratops? He's just chilling up there now. We're going to repeat all of those steps on the opposite side. So take your main piece from the other side, lay it pretty side down, center it, just like you did before. Clip it in place. Add your lining so that it's pretty side touching the inside of your bag here. Beautiful. And now we're just going to sew right along there with our zipper foot, flip it open and top stitch. Okay, this is what you should have. I might cry on this one. Oh, I love it. Now we're going to sew the clutch together so that it becomes a bag. Let me show you how to mock this up. We're almost there, you guys. Now, I've had some questions about, can you add a strap to this bag? You absolutely could. If you wanted to get some D-rings and make a little with this fabric, you can make just a little loop, stick it out of here and have the D-ring attached to it. And then you could make a strap to connect right at the top if you wanted to, or just even a short one to carry the bag. Totally fine. I'm going to keep this as a clutch because I think there's something really sassy about a clutch. You can make the purse straps as long as you want. You could also put just one D-ring here. If you don't know what a D-ring is, let me show you. This is a D-ring. Literally, it looks like a letter D. You could add one like right here and add a strap that you can just put around your wrist. Also totally fine. For today, I'm going to keep it simple for you guys and just close this up so that you can carry it, because we do have our cute little, you can carry it through the bow, which is fun. Oh, what the hey, let's add a strap. Okay, so I am going to use that one little D-ring. You guys, this is how my brain works. I'm so sorry. Some of you are probably so irritated with me right now. If you want to just close the bag up, we're going to do that in the next step, and it'll still be the same process, but we're going to add a little strap first. So I'm going to make it out of this lining. We've really gotten our money's worth from this lining today. We have come back to it multiple times. You're a good friend, lining fabric. And this is super easy, and it won't take much longer. The first thing I'm going to do, because we can do the actual strap part at the end, is I'm just going to cut. Remember those smaller little tabs we made? It's going to be similar to that. Let's do 4 inches by 3 inches. Okay. And essentially, all we're going to do is fold this in and in on itself till we get it to right about 1 inch. So if you want to do just the same process where we fold the 2 long edges in and then fold it over, that should be about 3/4 of an inch, which these are 1 inch. Still, I think that looks good. So once I get this folded over, I'm going to top stitch both sides. Again, you can press this if you like. Lining fabric like this, silky fabric like this, doesn't typically press very well, but you can certainly try. I'm going to do this 1/8 of an inch away, straight line right to the bottom. Cut it, flip it around, and stitch that side. This is what it should look like. Just 2 stitches on either side. Slide it into your D-ring. You can order these on Amazon. I can link them in the description here. They usually come with swivel clasps too, which are also fun. Okay, so you have it like this now, and I'm going to top stitch like maybe a 1/4 inch away. You definitely don't want to hit the metal of the D-ring, but we do kind of want to just secure it in place. So let's turn it this way. Trim those little threads. And this is what it should look like. Now take your bag, and we've got all this hullabaloo happening on the front, so let's put it back here. I'm going to let everything fall, even the lining, and I'm going to place this approximately 1 inch down, and then you decide how far in you want it from the edge, because remember, when you do this, it's going to flip out. So at least 1/4 to 1/2 of an inch. I think that looks pretty good. Mine's in about 1 inch to where the fabric is folded over. And I'm going to just do a quick little stitch to secure this in place, about 1/8 of an inch away from the edge of my bag. Cool. Okay, so now it's stuck. Now we can continue on. Fold your top pieces towards the top, your outer pieces, and then your lining pieces fall to the bottom. Could you box the corners on this project? Sure. It will give you a bottom to your bag, so it sort of stands up on its own, and you could make that as tiny as you want. I'm not going to box my corners on this project because I want it to be a really nice, flat, narrow clutch. So you can do, quite honestly, whatever you like, because you're in control of you and I'm in control of me. So this is what I'm going to do. I have lots of videos talking about boxed corners if that's something you're interested in learning. We're going to leave this section right here open because we're not going to sew there. That's where we're going to turn the bag right side out. So continue clipping up the sides. Make sure everything is as even as you can get it. And then we're going to sew in just a big square. Let me show you that part. Since this is the part we're not sewing, I'm going to start here, sew all the way around, and stop here. You can even draw a little line that says like no sewing if you're afraid you'll forget. Put your stitch length back down to a 2.5. We're going to sew this at 1/2 of an inch just to be safe and make sure we get everything in the seam allowance. And we're going to start right near the end of the lining here. Back stitch, sew to the corner. When you get 1/2 of an inch away, stop, lift your presser foot, turn the work, leave the needle down, and keep on stitching. We're gonna keep on dancing all through the night. Keep going. You're gonna come up on this section where you have the main and linings like kind of meeting up. Just take your time. Go slow. Definitely going to want that 80-12 needle here at least. Make sure you push any of the bow pieces that are sticking out. Try and push those back in so that you maintain the integrity of the bow. When you get 1/2 an inch away from the edge on this one, stop, turn it. Double check that you're not sewing into the bow. So just push it out of the way with your finger and proceed. I'm trying in my head right now, I'm having a little fight with myself. Do I want to make the strap out of the metallic faux leather or just simple, like the black lining fabric? I'm leaning towards the fun, fancy fabric. I feel like a bunch of you are screaming in my ear right now, yes, that's the right choice. So since you're telling me, I guess I'll do it. Go, go, go. Take your time though. Make sure these top edges are matching up nicely. We're approaching that last corner. One half an inch away, lift and turn and sew in about 2 to 3 inches. Stop, back stitch a couple times. Cut your thread. We're ready to trim our corners and turn this sucker right side out. My pinking shears are right here, so that's what I'm going to use to cut into my corners. I'm going to cut as close to that stitch line as I can get without cutting through it. And the zigzag scissors actually are nice for that. Cut into this corner as well. And then I'm going to trim off this little piece that's hanging. It's time to turn this right side out. I'm so excited. Oh, got a little straggler. All right, reach in that lining hole. Slide the zipper open with your finger if you have it closed. And then gently start pulling this out. It's, you know, kind of thick, so be careful that you don't rip anything. Also, if you have like a ring on, like a wedding ring or any sort of decorative ring that has like prongs sticking out of it, you might want to take them off for this step because it could snag the lining or it could put a hole in your leatherette or just scratch it in general, which is no fun when you put this much work into something. It's like a star is being born. I'm so excited. Turn those zipper tabs right side out. They should pop right out because you left nice amount of room there for them to pop out. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh. I am gonna take a knitting needle and I'm gonna poke it into those corners just to get them as crisp as I can get them. But don't push too hard or you could poke through the leather and that stinks. This is also a good time to eyeball your side seams and make sure that everything got caught in those stitches because you don't want any holes on the side of your bag. Also poke your lining corners out. Okay. Now we have to close up this hole. So fold your raw edges in and we're gonna just do an edge stitch right along this edge. I'm not even gonna take you with me because it takes 2 seconds. You're just sewing right here. Put that lining back in the bag. Push all your seams out. Flatten it. You guys, can we just take a moment of quiet to admire this absolutely gorgeous bag? Now you can put your hand in here as you're carrying it if you want to. Like, oh, this is how I hold my clutch. I'm so fancy. Yes. But wait, where did our D-ring go? What happened there? Oh, he's in. Oh. Hold on. Actually, do I like it there? It's okay, so this was totally a mistake. I wasn't thinking about the bow covering up the D-ring. It's kind of hidden in here. However, I don't know that I hate that because it sticks out enough that I can stick a swivel clasp to it and still have a nice, let's grab a swivel clasp. Like you could fix it. Technically, it would be nice if it was on the outside, but I'm not sure in my heart of hearts if this is actually a catastrophe. Oh, I actually don't hate that. That's okay because it's like kind of hidden now. We'll make that a happy mistake. No, it is bothering me. Okay, we're gonna fix it. So this is also good because you can see what happens when we screw up. So open it back up. This is not a big deal. And we're going to just touch into those stitches just a teeny bit where we closed up our lining because we're going to do just a smidge of surgery right in that one spot. Okay, we've opened the lining hole. I'm going to feel where that D-ring is and I'm going to rip the stitches out just in that little section. So I can feel that it's right here. I'm going to rip out right here where I have these stitches. Rip out your basting stitches too, where you stitch just that little line to connect it. Okay, we freed the D-ring, and now we're gonna figure out how to stick it the right way out. Well, so essentially what we should have done is put this in when we were attaching the bow, but it's fine. We can work around this. So I'm cutting in just a little bit, and now I'm gonna slide that D-ring part in from the outside so it's sticking out where I can see it and I know where it's gonna end up. Hold it with your fingers and then turn it right back to the wrong side. And now we can just stitch right in that spot where we ripped our stitches out. See, that wasn't so scary. And here's the thing. Could I have edited this all out and made sure you saw that I was only a perfect ever seamstress? I totally could have. Did I sort of want to in my heart? Maybe a little. But at the same time, I'm also human and so are you. And these mistakes are going to happen no matter how good of a sewist you are. Sometimes we get to talking and we just forget what's happening. So I want you to see how to fix those because those are the things I think that you have questions about and you don't know who to turn to ask. So let's see now if we've got this correct. Yes, we do. Right? See, it's that easy. It's not worth throwing in the towel on the project for. Things like that come up. You just have to backtrack your steps a little bit and fix them. It's not that big of a deal. All right, now I'm going to re-sew my edge stitch here. I hope that's helpful to you. I think it's very easy to come across, and the magic of editing can make us look way more perfect than we are, and we're not. So don't ever think you're going to come here and get perfection. I'm going to show you the mistakes I make. Because in the whole scheme of things, it's not that big of a deal. Also, if you decide you dislike somebody because of a mistake, you think they're less professional, they're just not showing you the stuff that's happening in the background. Nobody does it right the first time. Almost nobody gets things right the first time. All right, trim those little, now we're good. Push it back in, straighten it all out. Where's my D-ring? Now it's exactly where it needs to be. Let's make a cute little strap for this bag and then call it a day. So you can turn the D-ring whichever way you want. If you want to flip it this way so that your strap lays nice and flat against it, that's fine. It's about 1 inch. The opening realistically is like 3/4 of an inch. So let's see. I'm going to cut whatever this is, 2 inches. I'm going to cut it 2 inches. We're going to triple it up so it's nice and sturdy. And I like my strap a little bit long, so I'm going to make mine about, I don't know, 11 inches long, maybe 12, 11. Depends on how big your hands are, really. I'm going to make it 4 inches wide, 11 inches long. And I'm going to fold my pieces in towards the middle and see when I fold it over how big it is. It should be right around 1 inch or a little less. If you want to test it out, slide it in there and see. That's a little too wide. So I'm going to take off, because this interior is about 3/4 of an inch. So I'm going to take off about 1/2 inch. That should do it. So 3.5 inches folded in and folded on itself. Yeah, that'll work nicely. Okay, so take your swivel clasp and see if it fits nicely in there. It should. Yes. All right, keep it on there, and you're gonna take your pretty sides and open them up like this. We're gonna sew right along this short edge. That's gonna complete the circle for us. Open that back up and then fold everything the way it was. So I've got the outside pieces folded towards the center, and then I'm going to fold it in on itself. Now this might be the only part that's a little tricky to sew. You got a lot going on here. Straighten everything out, pull it, make sure it's nice and taut. And we're going to load this underneath, and we're just going to move the swivel clasp out of the way as needed. We're going to sew 1/8 of an inch away from each edge. I'm going to up my stitch length to a 3.5. We'll see how this goes through the machine. Oh, nicely. You don't even need a special foot for this. Okay, it's getting a little bunchy, so I'm going to straighten it out, move my swivel clasp out of the way, straighten all my pieces, try and keep them stacked nice and even. keep doing that the whole way around. When you match up to your first set of stitches, back stitch, pull it out and then turn it to the other side and do the same thing. I mean, this would be cute by itself to just like sell at a craft show. I'm going to take my seam, which is right here, and I'm going to fold it around the end of my swivel clasp. That conceals that seam pretty well. And I'm going to just do a quick stitch, maybe a 1/2 inch, not in the way of the metal, but just about 1/2 inch away to just make sure that swivel clasp stays where it needs to be. Last stitches of the project. And we're done. Just clip our threads. Yeah, that is really cute. This would be, I mean, it's a fun material and it's a little different than what you see at the craft shows where they're quilting cotton. This would be nice and sturdy. Get your hand in there. I made it a little smaller than I probably needed to. You put your keys on this. Super cute. All right, I'm gonna attach it to our, yeah, it needed this. This is so cute. Okay, here is the clutch that we made today, you guys. Is this not the cutest thing? I just love it. Perfect for carrying on a night on the town, or if you just want to be fancy, like let's say you're just wearing like jeans and a black shirt or something and you just need something to make your day feel a little bit sassy. This is perfect. We've got our triceratops for our zipper pull and then a beautiful, luxurious looking, not expensive lining on the inside. This roll of this fancy faux leatherette was $15. I used leftover lining fabric, which was super cheap anyway. And the swivel clasps were just a couple dollars. So really, this is not expensive at all. And it really is fun. If you wanted to even sell these at a craft show, I think people would love them. So that's today's tutorial. I hope you enjoyed it. What did you think of the bow clutch? Is it a cutie? Is it a winner? I don't know. You let me know in the comments. I'm Chelsea with She Sews Seams. Thank you so much for following along today. Make sure to like and subscribe so you can stay up to date on all of my upcoming content. We've got some really fun things coming up in the near future. I'll see you next time.